Hello again, David Porter. Okay, just got through washing my car. It needed it. Oh, my car is much happier now. Alright, so the last video I made, I covered some basic information about sexual serial homicide perpetrated by serial killers. And I want to take a minute to differentiate between mass murderers and serial killers. Mass murderers engage in an activity called active shooting. They go to typically a crowded building, or it could be an outdoor area with a lot of people, and they kill a large number of people in geographic and temporal proximity. That is, their killing tends to be confined to a small area, although they may displace to different parts of a building or to buildings that are nearby. And their killing typically occurs within a matter of seconds to possibly hours, depending on law enforcement response, if they are evading and eluding or barricaded. They select victims either indiscriminately, or they target specific individuals or individuals who represent a larger group. They have been planning this for a long time. People do not just wake up one morning and say, hey, today's the day, I'm going to go kill as many people as I can. Something sets them off and they decide today is the day, or they have planned in advance that this is when they're going to do it. But this has been building and brewing for a long time. And here's the thing, if you know what to look for, and it's complicated, more about that in a minute, if you know what to look for, there are many predictors and warning signs. And one of the most obvious ones is they will say so. They will blog or make a YouTube announcing their intentions. They will release a manifesto online. There have been many incidents where mass shooters have done this and nobody listened. You have a number of incidents that could have been preventable, and people did not listen. Now you also have the opposite extreme. You have these checklists and profiles which have very, very weak predictive validity, very poor inter-rater reliability. That is, first, they don't predict what they're supposed to predict. That's validity. And they are unreliable. They may work for sometimes, but they don't work consistently enough where they're of any real value. And they have low inter-rater reliability, meaning that when 10 different people score the same test on the same individual, you might get a half a dozen different conclusions. So human beings are, generally speaking, too complex and fluid and dynamic and capable of spontaneity where their behavior can be readily predicted. We behavioral health care providers, mental health experts, we aren't very good at predicting future human behavior, especially violent behavior. Sure, there are warning signs, there are predictors, there are definite red flags, but they're all inconclusive. And I realize I'm contradicting myself, what I said before about there are predictors and people didn't listen. You know, I know I'm just contradicting myself here, because what that reflects is how complicated it is. And it's no easy task, and you don't want to start making unwarranted accusations or taking action against people based on what they might do due to some profile that they may fit. That is, you can't have that in a democratic society. You would not want that. The possibility of being incarcerated or sanctioned some way based on what you might do. You have to balance individual rights with the rights of society, and that is no easy task. Mass killers will act when in action. In the act of killing, they're referred to as active shooters. And you have to have a very quick, decisive law enforcement response to stop them. Or you need an armed civilian on the scene who will engage them. Now, I am headed to the market in a few minutes. From here, I need to go to the market and pick up a few things. I need a good quality ketchup for my delicious veggie burgers, and I've discovered the secret of making a good veggie burger is to add cheese and bacon. So when I'm in the market, I am going to have my eyes open. First, it's a market I go to all the time. I'm familiar with it. I know where the exits are, and I know where the lines of sight are. I know where to find cover and concealment. Cover is a heavy object which has a high probability of stopping most bullets. Concealment is an object which will not stop a bullet, but it will hide you. So you go into a building. First, the chances of getting involved in an incident like this, being the victim of an active shooter, is very, very low. Again, the media sells fear and outrage. The media will heavily emphasize and publicize the actions of these criminals, but it's still a statistical anomaly and a very rare event. The chances of it occurring in your lifetime is very, very low. Though, unfortunately, the incidence has increased. Keep perspective, it's still very low. But I go into a familiar place. I have already determined where the exits are. I have determined the lines of sight. I have determined the location of cover and concealment, and also choke points, places where people are likely to all try to get out at once and jam together and get in each other's way. And I watch people constantly. I look for people who have that 1,000-yard stare, that empty, vacant stare. I look for people who are dressed inappropriately for the weather, where they could be wearing clothing that could conceal a firearm. Somebody heavy on one side, a jacket hanging low on one side, indicating there's something heavy in their pocket. People who are, instead of shopping, are looking at other shoppers. People who are displaying outward signs of autonomic nervous system arousal. That is, they're sweating, their eyes are bulging, they are glancing around them, and all of these indicators I've named are inconclusive. There are many other benign explanations for it, but these are things that warrant your attention. And here's the most important thing, and I need to hurry up and say this because I think my battery's about to die. If something feels wrong, it's wrong. Do not doubt or second guess yourself. Listen to your intuition. If something feels wrong, it is wrong. Get out of the situation you are in. Get away from the person you are near. If someone is making you feel uncomfortable, if it feels wrong, there's something wrong. Get away from that person. If you're in a place where something feels uncomfortable, if it feels wrong, it's wrong. Get out of that place. Maybe you are wrong. You probably are. And maybe you're going to do something or say something to embarrass yourself. So what? Who gives a shit? Be alive and embarrassed rather than socially appropriate and dead or wounded. Okay. Yeah, the coffee is kicking in. Okay. So those are all my thoughts for now. And everyone, please be safe and hit subscribe.